Hello! It's me, Doodle, and in this video, I will be doing a step-by-step tutorial on how I make my dragon puppets. Yes, this is a voice reveal too. I'm not really sure what y'all expected, but yeah, this is my voice. Alright, the intro's over now, let's get crafting! To make the paper dragon, you will need cardstock paper, a glue gun, something to color with, such as markers or colored pencils, it's your choice, a pencil and something to ink with, like a Sharpie, thick paper or thin cardboard, like the cardboard from a tissue box, and I forgot to list it, but you'll need a glue stick too. Start off by sketching out your design onto paper. This will help you with the process of making your puppet. Make sure to draw a line where the bottom jaw touches the top one. It will serve as an extremely crucial guideline. Now we will transfer this design onto cardstock. Make sure to use a pencil before anything else, so in case you mess up, you can always erase it. You'll want to separate the top half of the head, horns, ears, and bottom jaw from each other. There are a couple ways you could trace out your design onto cardstock. You could slap your cardstock and pattern onto a window when it's bright and trace it out, use the bright screen of a device, or a light table if you have one. The top jaw will have 3 separate parts, those being the main head, the horn, and the ear. The bottom jaw is its own piece. There is also the hair floof, which is also its own piece. Once you have your pattern transferred, you can start inking it. I recommend using a Sharpie for thick lines and micron ink pens for thinner lines. Take your time with the inking, and make sure your lines are dry before coloring to prevent any smudges. For a more cartoony look, I do thicker lines for the entire puppet, and for more detailed puppets, I use mainly thin lines. A small detail I often do is not inking this specific area. It will make the bottom jaw look more connected to the top one. Once you have your pieces inked, you can finally start with the best part, coloring! I usually use Copic alcohol markers or acrylic paint for my dragons, but you can use whatever you want. Once again, take your time with this step. Add more layers of your media to darken the color and try not to go over your lines. And make sure you make your own designs. You don't want to take someone's work off the internet. Now that we have our colored pieces, we can cut them out. Roughly cut out your design and leave some space around the edges. We'll be adding another layer of paper to this, so cutting your final pieces out will look cleaner with this extra step. Now we can layer and reinforce the pieces. Be gluing on the design to some thick paper or thin cardboard. Using a glue stick, cover the entire back of your design and stick it to your second layer. Try not to leave any spaces uncovered, it might peel off in the future. Rub your design onto the paper or cardboard, making sure it is firmly attached. Make sure to evenly space out your pieces, or else you might cut into one on accident. Trust me, I had to learn the hard way. This dragon will have a color-changing eye, so I'll be cutting out this part with a box cutter. Always be extremely careful with the box cutter. Have a very good grip on your blade before using it, and take your time. Safety comes first, always. We can finally cut out our finished design. You can remove the excess white paper on the edges now. Once again, roughly cut out your pieces, then cut off any remaining bits. Now that we have all our pieces, we can start assembling. This dragon has a color-changing eye, so I'll also be showing you how to do that. Trace out the shape of the iris onto some blank paper. Color the top and bottom half in different colors. You've most likely seen the type that goes left and right. This one goes up and down. It's a little easier to control, and it won't stick out from the nose. We can start gluing things now. Using your pattern as a guide, stick your ear, horn, and top jaw together. I usually sandwich the horn between the ear and the top jaw layers to achieve the look I want. Always apply a generous amount of hot glue. Oh shoot, I put the ear on first. No! Okay, yay, crisis averted. Measure out the length of your top jaw onto another piece of your thick paper or thin cardboard. You'll want your line to be as straight as possible, so use a ruler. For the width, make sure it's wide enough for your hand to fit inside. Make the base shape narrow out a bit at the nose for the best results. You should have a very elongated trapezoid shape for your finished base. Draw 2 flaps on either side of your trapezoid. They'll be used to stick to the pattern. You'll need 2 identical pieces of this same pattern, so layer 2 pieces of paper and cut it out at the same time. Fold up the flaps you drew. I tend to use a ruler for folding because it makes a nice clean fold. And now you have 2 identical pieces. Make a line where the top jaw and the bottom jaw meet. I overcomplicated this step like crazy, but do what you gotta do. Glue the flaps onto the line. Glue your bottom jaw pieces to the second base piece. Cut off any remaining bits and make sure they look even. This part does take a little bit of trial and error, so don't be too frustrated. Now we'll be making the forehead. Roughly trace out the nose onto another sheet of thick paper or thin cardboard, and make sure to leave flaps on the side. Cut darts into the flaps so that the sheet can bend easily. Glue the flaps onto the nose and make sure it fits its form well. Be patient with yourself and make sure it looks even. You should have a piece that's a little bit longer sticking out from the top. Fold that flap down and repeat the process for the nose bridge and forehead. For the nose bridge, you should have a piece that looks like this. The short tip area is for the nose, and the longer part will connect it to the forehead. The roof of the puppet's head keeps the top jaw base from flapping and has an overall cleaner appearance. You can stop here or make the forehead. Practically all 4 segments of the roof of the head have the same process, but some of them you don't actually need to put darts in it. If the area there is straight, then you don't need to add darts, but if it has a curve, then yes, it's best to do those. When gluing in one of those pieces, stick it to one side first, then the second. Kind of wiggle it in, and make sure it looks smooth and even on the top. For the bottom jaw, we can have just one singular piece instead of the 4 different pieces we used for the top jaw. Trace the bottom jaw and add darts, exactly like how we did for the nose and forehead. I'm gluing in a piece of white paper for the iris of this dragon. We can finally join the 2 pieces together. Use a piece of cardstock and cut it down to size. Fold it in half and glue each half into one of the jaws. You will have to continuously trim the paper until it's the correct size and fits snugly in the jaws. A small issue I had with this puppet is that the jaw kept on getting stuck, so I simply bent the small bits that protrude out from the top, and it was fine afterwards. To keep your puppet from falling off your hand, make small rings to fit your fingers in. If you're making a dragon without a moving eye or a color-changing eye, then I recommend putting all 4 fingers in the top in one loop. But if you're doing a color-changing eye or a moving eye, then you'll want to do only 3 fingers and leave one out so you can move the eye with that finger. Glue the ring in and make sure it's stuck there. You should make a ring for your thumb and your pointer finger if you have a moving eye. Stick the ring that's meant for the pointer finger on the eyepiece. Your ring positions should look like this. I unfortunately forgot to film how I made the hair floof part, so I made a small animatic instead. Grab a fresh piece of cardstock paper and put your dragon on it. Trace out a section of the nose bridge and forehead onto the paper. It should look something like this. Draw out how you want your hair to look and cut it out. Using some hot glue, glue your hair onto the puppet's forehead. Make sure everything fits and moves well, and you're done! Meet Soleil, inspired by Sundrop from Five Nights at Freddy's. I hope you all found this tutorial useful. I'm not the best at explaining things honestly, so feel free to ask questions in the comments below. Also, thank you all so much for 10,000 subscribers. I never actually thought I'd reach this milestone. It means a lot to me that you guys like my content, and I'll continue posting for as long as I can. That's all for now. Bye bye!